Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Time delay. Is it working? Maybe. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, Mel, could you check it out just to make sure it's working, please? Time delay.
Exclusive.
Yes. Niet. Yes.
Oh, son of a bitch, I don't know my password.
Yeah, I think we had this issue last time. That's why I was kind of asking.
Check this out.
Nice. Nice. That was quite a ragdolling.
I mean, the extension is unreal.
You guys don't know, you want me to forget my password thing?
No. We'll just go for it. It worked on mine. Don't see why it won't work.
That would suck if it didn't. No, you want me to click, I forgot my password, just go through the motions, make sure?
No, because your email is going to take forever. I just think we're just going to go. It worked last time.
Okay.
I didn't do anything different. And it worked on my computer, so I think we're good. Is it working? Maybe. Nice. That was quite a ragdolling.
I mean, the extent.
Okay. Well, I think we're good to go.
Cool.
Good to go. Probably want to scoot in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. There we go. All right. I think we're going to get started. Thanks. I know you guys are all probably watching the replay. Maybe we'll get lucky and there's one schmuck still awake doing this.
Live.
We've been all over the place. We've been all over Finland, all over Austria. We just landed in Munich today. We're going to be here for 2 nights before we're heading out to Dublin. Whew. A lot of travel.
2 seminars down, 1 to go.
So we know we missed a webinar last time, so we want to make sure we got all your questions answered. So we're going to go through you guys' list of questions that we normally do, and we'll make sure everybody gets their questions answered, even if we're on a weird delay here. So I think we're just going to get right into it.
Can you zoom that in like a shitload?
Sure. How's that?
A little bit more all the way down to the a little bit more. Oh. Nope. Just center it, I guess.
Like that?
And then just a little more out.
A little what?
Out more. Because it cuts some stuff off. Perfect. All right. I'll get started, yeah?
Yeah.
Angus Cresswell says, hey guys, how much actual effect does sleep loss have on body fat storage / composition? Would a small but chronic loss exceed the effects of a large acute sleep loss? It seems to me that even missing an entire night of sleep every few weeks would come out in the wash, whereas a consistent 6 hours of sleep every night will eventually produce greater detriment. Thanks. I think, Angus, you're entirely correct in that. Chronic is always worse than acute. And I wouldn't worry about A couple nights every now and again of no sleep, in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter much, but consistent, even small sleep deprivation, it will add up.
Yeah, and most of the negative effects that you would get from the acute, you can be compensate on the level of the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's such a short thing.
But you don't compensate weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Daniel Hacker, first part. During a cut/mini cut, if one goes out with their friends till really late and hits all their macros prior to going out really early in the night, what do they do throughout the night? So first of all, you should plan to hit your macros throughout so you spread your meals out. That would be the best answer. But okay, let's say you didn't do that. Say one finishes a required KCAL intake at 8 or 9 p.m., but they go out till 2 to 3 a.m. Do they eat anything at this point and then take it out from the calories the next day to equalize the deficit? Do they eat something additional during this time and then take some calories away from each day during this week? Insane. Ran into this issue a bunch of times. Curious what to do. I think you should know when you're going out and spread all your meals out. That's the best answer. After that, I think just having like casein shake out there when you're eating out, or when you're out, maybe just bring some kind of shake/bar situation, have it. You can adjust the next day because hypothetically you'd sleep in later and you would actually just need fewer calories anyway that next day. So that's how I would do it. I wouldn't adjust on the week. This is insanely technical and damn near pointless. Because imagine like you ate 400 extra calories one day. Okay, what are you gonna do? Like take 93 calories out from, it's just like kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I think trying to like spill over across days is something that's doable, but also kind of ridiculous at the same time.
Spill over one day is okay. Spill over multiple, it's just like this gets pointless.
And there's kind of a fine line you have to draw where it's like, yeah, you're doing your mini cut and that's important, but also you're going out with your friends. So it's kind of like, now you're really starting to split hairs about like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
100%.
like,
Also, if you just consume like a very little protein, you might actually burn more calories than you consume
just from staying up.
because you're staying up and moving around. So as long as you get your sleep in order, I think you're good to go.
Yeah. I wouldn't spend too much time fussing over the issue.
Yeah. Next question from Daniel. How many pages did it say we have?
About 8.
Okay, cool. After a period of 3 to 5 years of consistent eating and training, is it possible to make some sort of determination of one's potential for strength or size? Say, for example, after 5 years of squatting and deadlifting, an individual is squatting 100 kilograms for sets of 10 and deadlifting 150 for 10s. If they don't aspire to compete, would it be right to say, let's shoot for 125K on squats and 175K over the next few years and then move on to something else in fitness, because maybe they just be wasting their time chasing gains that they simply will never make? One has to be realistic. Not everyone is cut out to be super jacked, super strong, or some combination of the two. So where do we draw the line? I see it often in my gym where people I know, they train hard for years, eat well, study up, but their body barely changes. And then I start to think maybe they should just accept where they're at and move on to something else because they're wasting their time. Or is the answer here a matter of what you do best? Do your best. Don't think about anyone else. And when the process gets boring, accept where you're at. Be happy, move on. So, Daniel, you're asking 2 separate questions. You're asking a question of the technicalities of predicting muscle gain rates and strength gain rates from certain accomplishments that you have already on a time course. And then you're asking a question of trade-offs and life priorities. I'll take the first one. Maybe James can take the second one. How's that sound, James?
Sounds good.
So, yes, you can predict reasonably well. The longer you train, the more predictive power your previous gains give you. So if you've trained for 1 year and you haven't gained an impressive amount, that doesn't say much. If you've trained for 5 years and you haven't gained an impressive amount, even when you're on the ball doing things right, you're probably not ever going to have this reawakening. There are exceptions to that, particularly, let's say, if you had an MRV, which was super duper high, and an MEV that was super duper high, and you just never knew about it, and somebody doubles your training volume at some point. That actually happened to my fiance. She was doing 531 for forever, and like in the minimum volume version, and she just wasn't getting, she was getting results, but they weren't great. And she switched to the Juggernaut method and doubled her training volume and just skyrocketed in everything, consistently putting on total for years and years and years, and just kept getting better because she never was doing enough volume. But outside of that, like if you assuming you know your volume landmarks, assuming you know your nutrition pretty well, if you've been training for, like you said, 3 to 5 years, yeah, I mean, you're pretty much going to be able to say that those gains you got are the best they're ever going to get, and they're just going to get worse from there. I think gains outside of people with really good genetics, really gnarly, purposeful gains in body weight, and the question of doing drugs or not, I think 8 to 10 years is where people start to get to within a stone's throw of their peak, like within 10% or 20% of how strong they'll ever be. So, and I think so now we know two things. Within about 8 years, you'll get to be as good as you're close to as good as you're going to be, and then everything else is really hard pickings. And then 3 to 5 years, those 3 to 5 years will be the fastest gains you've ever gotten. So if you take gains like half that fast, project them out over the next 5 years after year 5, and they reach 200 kilograms, you're just not going to squat 300 kilograms, right? It's just not going to happen unless you choose really gnarly shit like drugs or gaining 100 pounds or something like that. So use that information to inform the following decision, which James is going to talk about, of when do you really decide, have I had enough? Should I move on to something else? Or should I just enjoy the process?
Yeah, so there's kind of like a conundrum where you might think that you are wasting your time just because you can't hit certain numbers or do certain things. Like, for example, I had that epiphany with myself where I was like, I'm just never going to squat 500 pounds. It's just not going to happen. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that I can't still try to be strong every day, try and get a little bit stronger and be the best that I can be. But if I feel like the only thing that's important to me is hitting these crazy strength PRs, and I kind of come to that realization after 8 years of training, like those things are really just out of my reach, then it might be time to reevaluate what you're doing. But what I'm kind of getting at is, like, you don't have to stop training just because, like, you're not going to be the most jacked guy, you're the strongest guy on the planet, the highest jumper, the fastest sprinter, the leanest physique competitor. It doesn't matter. Like, if you like doing it and it's just part of your daily routine, like I think for most of us, I don't think it's kind of a love-hate thing, right? Where I can't really say that I enjoy busting my hump in the gym, but I can't really imagine myself doing anything else at the same time. It's one of those weird things where you're like, if somebody's like, do you really enjoy it? Like, I don't know if I really enjoy it, like in the moment, but I enjoy the fact that I do it, and it makes me feel good about my life. So I think that's okay. And I think having having that conversation with yourself where you say, like, I'm probably not going to be 220 pounds, with a 6-pack.
And if that's the only reason you're training, then it's time to give it up.
Then it's time to move on to something else.
But if you train for other reasons, like it's fun, or you maybe have a different goal in mind, or your goal is like, let's see how far I can push it. Who cares how far I can push it? I just want to see. Then you can just keep training.
And the thing is, like, that's the kind of the beautiful thing about sport, is that there really is something for everyone. Just because you suck at something that you're really interested in or you like doesn't mean that you won't discover something else that you're really good at and you might find yourself really enjoying later on. So there's all sorts of fucking crazy sports and activities out there for you to do. You might not be genetically gifted at strength power sports or endurance sports, but goddamn, there's plenty of choices in between. So keep your options open. And if you have that conversation where you're like, I'm not getting what I want out of this anymore because I'm just never going to get there, maybe think about something else. Maybe thinking about picking up a new hobby or a new, even just recreationally, just have fun with it.
All right. Next question from Daniel Hacker. How do you respond to younger athletes, sub 18 years of old and beginners to training and diet, when they come to you seeking knowledge about weight gain / weight loss? It's a tender age, so I know the more general and lighthearted our audience, the better, but we're also coaches and don't want to sound like disciples of Gaia, coddling them to eat whole grains and broccoli and listen to their body. So what are some good strategies that are appropriate to relay in your base estimates? When I have younger athletes that I coach come to me asking about weight gain, I generally tell them 3 whole food meals a day, eat a snack before and after training, monitor their performance in the gym, and weigh themselves 1 to 2 times a week. If the scale isn't moving, eat more. I was hesitant to mention the scale with them because I know at a young age the scale is not always helpful, but I need an assessment, and told the performance in the gym didn't seem enough. So you ask about weight gain and weight loss. Those are 2 very different answers, I think. Mm-hmm. Weight loss, you got to be really careful. If you're not a registered dietitian, or their actual team coach or doctor, I would not broach weight loss with sub 18. Renaissance, we just don't work with those folks unless they have direct parent permission, and we only work with them if we have an RD. So James and I don't, because there's all kinds of developmental.
Paul Sawyer wrote a book, right?
Oh yeah,
It's not out yet.
he's working on it.
Yeah, we're working on a book for kids. It's not for kids to read.
For kids.
Adults to read.
For the
Picture book.
children.
It's a picture book. Anyway, but weight gain is pretty straightforward. I think some of the advice you have is good. I think from my personal experience, the best thing you can tell young individuals is emphasize consistency. So what I always say is like 3 to 5 good meals with protein and other good stuff in them. So you want to build habits of healthy food eating and habits of eating protein on a schedule, or not on a schedule so much, but consistently. Because in my experience, a lot of, and I've coached a ton of junior athletes, coached whole football teams before in high school. One of the biggest problems I've ever had was they'll tell me about how great a meal that they ate was. They're like, man, I had dinner, it was so good last night. I had all this stuff that you say, and protein, all this stuff. And like, what did you have the rest of the day? And they're like, And I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter what you eat in one meal. So consistency is huge. I actually, even when James and I used to give nutrition talks to college athletes, we put nutrient timing first, believe it or not. Good, solid, every 5 hours, whole food meals, lots of protein. When they do that, their calories usually fall in line. And then we can say eat more if you're not gaining, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just basic healthy eating, good consistency of nutrient timing, and then after that, modulate the calories would be my best advice.
You know, it's kind of funny too, because normally we say nutrient timing is like, man, it's okay.
Right.
But it is kind of a fun, sexy one to talk about. And I feel like it's one of those where it's kind of like a quick tip that people kind of, they find it interesting, right? They're like, oh, you need to eat 5 times a day, or like eat around training times. And that's something that sticks with them.
Yeah.
Even though it's not that powerful, but it can be a catalyst to working towards those other things.
Macros and calories. That's the thing people say, like, you know, and we say, we have entire books out saying macros and calories matter much more than timing. But that's if you get your macros and calories, and timing can be a way to get them. And for a lot of young adults, it can be a way to not get them. So for example, you know, people say like, well, I can get all my macros and calories for 2 meals. Yeah, you're counting your macros and calories. 16-year-olds don't count anything.
Yeah.
Right? But if you get them eating, you know, 4 good square meals or 3 good square meals and 1 good high protein snack before bed every day or most days, they're going to get all the protein they need. They're going to get most of the carbs and all the fats, and they're good to go. And then after that, you work on them with healthy eating. And then once that starts to work, then yeah, you can have them weigh themselves and eat a little bit more when they need to gain weight, and then you go.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Renee Caraco says, hey docs, if maintaining for an extended amount of time, so like 2 to 4 months, is it worth running a full-blown strength program with Warwell Mesos 3 for male physique template be good enough? Also, I'm sure this has been covered, but what is the minimum amount of time you'd suggest for a mass? Minimum amount of time in the technical sense is like 3 weeks, otherwise it doesn't work. But I think nothing less than about 6 weeks to 2 months is worth your time in the real world. Yeah. James, you're was right up your alley for the should I run a full strength program?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. 2 mesos plus your maintenance period for the mass. You know, so you don't have to do it. It's if it was a black and white question where it was like, do you need to do this, or like, is this right or wrong? You don't have to do it. I think it's a really good idea, especially for just a little bit of variation without deviating too far outside of the goal of that kind of what essentially becomes a macro cycle of training, where you have an extended maintenance period, which is totally fine. The resensitization periods are very, very useful if your goal is physique, but we kind of snub our nose at like the power builder phrasing, but a lot of people enjoy like looking good, but also feeling strong. If you're one of those people, that's totally fine. And then that would be an ideal time to maybe pepper in 1 or 2 strength phases. The big difference there will be obviously the strength phase will be slightly more volume than a traditional resensitization phase. You'd be working up to your MRV for strength, which would be slightly more, but otherwise serves the same purpose as the resensitization phase when compared to like doing hypertrophy training. So I think they're both good options. I think if you just did like the in the male physique template, if you just ran Meso 3 or 4 months in a row, probably get real boring and real stale. Yeah. But again, like it serves a distinct purpose. So I think to keep things fresh and just a little variety, you could easily do like switch one back and forth. Or if you really wanted to, like if you did a mass phase and you're interested in strength, what I've been plugging for a long time, and I still stand by it, is you could do kind of a general strength phase, a transitional phase where you do like 4 to 8 reps, and then you move into a meso of maximal strength, which would be kind of closer to 1 to 3. And then if you want to take resensitization phases for the last 1 or 2 phases, that would be fine too. And that way you get to like mass, right? Transition to strength, see how strong you got in its maximal sense, and then you kind of cruise for the rest of them before you do more of your hypertrophy work, and you'll be sore as fuck by the time you get back to it. Both are good. There's no, this is kind of one of those Bob Ross situations where you can kind of like paint your trees and your birds as you see fit.
Yeah. Very good answer. Daniel Jolly says, hiya, docs. My question, Daniel Jolly, what are you, a 1950s kid?
Well, hi, let me just show you how long this question is. Oh, bro.
Holy fuck. It's one question?
That's
Daniel Jolly biting off
or
a
at
big
least
chunk
one
today.
post.
Okay. Hi, docs. My question is a bit soft and sad this week, so please just ignore it if you don't want to explore it. That rhymes.
Ignore the explorer.
Continue on, James. We're ignoring it. Just kidding. Our friend Katina, Miss Desjardins, shared a documentary with us a couple of weeks ago. Its name is Obesity, the Postmortem. And it's just about that, an obese woman whose death was accelerated because of complications rising from her obesity. Donated her body to science, and without censor, the post-mortem was performed under TV cameras. Okay? As at a stretch, one might argue that the language used was a touch sensational, but I thought it was a decently honest piece of work, and that let obesity speak for itself. And to see so candidly the body's fat storage and its effects on the organs was fascinating. Quick segue, I Googled to check, had the name right, and stumbled across articles accusing it of fat shaming, probably SJWs. Social
jiggly warriors.
Like Trigglypuff.
Does that mean that they themselves are jiggly, or that they advocate for jiggly people?
Both.
Whoa.
But to get to my point, the documentary, which is actually 18 months old, further hammered home to me something that I've been struggling with as my relationship with my own body has become better and more clear. It's the fact that most of my very closest friends, the people who I have genuine deepest affection, are themselves overweight, and specifically that I am watching them delete days from the tail end of their lives, and that when the topics of health and body weight come up, they don't want to think about it in a realistic sense. And I imagine this is a familiar story for many of us who've been at this for a while. Perhaps at the dinner table, a friend will probably notice that I'm either eating not much, or everything in sight, despite the fact that I try to keep this stuff to myself nowadays. And the topic of my body weight, then body weight in general, comes up. And then, because this is what pride makes people do, they caricature me in their heads and say I lose weight easily because of better metabolism, some other nonsense. Edit, it might also be worth noting that I'm significantly younger than most of my friends. They're in their late 40s. How old are you, motherfucker? We don't know how old you are. You look 50. Just kidding. Then the internal battle starts. Does one refute what they say in a strictly factual and personal fashion, probably causing them a bit of acute pain, but hoping it'll be beneficial in the long run or not? My instinct with this kind of thing, as Dr. Might have picked up from our Facebook interactions, is to speak honestly. In the face of falsehoods and fallacies, I usually speak up. I was very aggressive and confrontational when I was younger, and some of that trait is hanging on. But this isn't one isn't a trivial subject. I am looking at some of my loved ones and thinking it's quite possible that their reluctance to deal with their health could very well kill them within the next 10 years or less, and it might very well be because I kept my mouth shut. I'm thinking about seeking counseling. Such is my anxiety with the topic. Damn. Can you scroll down a little bit, Jingle?
Sure.
So I just wanted to express this with you guys first, and hope to get some experiential viewpoints from you and the other listeners too, if that's okay. And now clicking submit. Shit. Yo, man, fuck that shit. I don't have no love for anybody else.
That emo bullshit.
Dan, you gotta grow up here and tell that, you know what I'm saying? It's ride or die. It's just you against the world. It's me against the world. Anyway, okay. I got real shit about this.
Okay.
Are you getting drunk? We're just talking about serious stuff. You're drinking?
As if they don't expect me to be drinking at this point.
Low expectations. Soft bigotry of low expectations.
You're not supposed to go to jail, you low expectations having motherfucker.
I take care of my kids. You're supposed to take care of your kids. All right, anyway. Chris Rock quotes, everybody. All right. So, Daniel, I can actually answer this question for you in a very technical manner. And believe it or not, there's a whole series of this sort of thing in RB Plus. It's being uploaded as we speak, and already some of them have been uploaded. What you are really trying to do is, so to speak, argue to convince. And there's a whole series about arguing to convince that we have up. And in this case, the stakes are very high, right? So if you want to convince someone of something political on Facebook, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose. Trump's just going to nuke the whole fucking world anyway. So, but with your friends, what you really want to do is try to talk them into, or essentially run the probabilities and have the highest chance of convincing them to alter their behavior, at least marginally, right? So if they can lose 5 kilograms, great. If it's 10, if it's 20, amazing. And if it's 0, you got to at least try your best. So one thing you got to realize is the kind of things you tell them may not cause them to change their minds right away. It probably won't. They might not even cause them to change their minds next week or next month, but they might start some thought patterns and considerations that will avalanche later into some things that they take action, right? What you say could zing them and they could not even tell you about it. And then months later, they could get zinged by something else. For example, when the doctor tells them that their health sucks and that's because they're fat, they could be like, you know what, man, that one time Daniel said that shit, I let it go, but it hit me. And then now my doctor's saying it, that's it. Stone over cliff, and it's rolling, and shit is happening. Versus if just the doctor says something, they might be like, whatever, and they kind of do the same thing they did with just your line. So everything adds up. The real big meat and potatoes part of the answer is this. You have to come at the problem, at the suggestions with an unbelievable amount of compassion. You're trying to cut them as much slack as possible, see things from their perspective as much as possible. So in other words, you have to say, this stuff is really tough. And you say, nobody wants to eat healthy. Fuck that shit. You feel me? It's amazing to eat fucking junk food. It tastes great. Like I was talking with one guy on Facebook and he's like, I don't understand why people can't control their diets. Healthy food is great to eat and it's delicious. I'm like, shut your fucking mouth, you dumb asshole. You're just lying to people. You're lying to yourself. He also said that if companies just sold more natural kind of candy, wouldn't be eating all this artificial shit. He goes, instead of having like
what natural candy?
Hold on. This is good. He's like, if instead of, he's like, I much prefer the taste of a handful of raw almonds and dark chocolate and blueberries versus any M&Ms. I want to be like, listen, this is how capitalism works, you dumb fucking cocksucker. If they sell the shit that you like the best, they don't give a fuck what it is. They'll put it in a package and send it to you. You give kids almonds and fucking dark chocolate and blueberries, they're going to be like, this tastes like shit. Give me M&Ms. You give most adults M&Ms, they just taste better. M&Ms taste better. McDonald's tastes better than almost everything. That's why people eat it. So does pizza. So does fries. Okay, there's a reason why bodybuilders, after a show, don't even go to like the fanciest steakhouse. Because that shit has a time and a place, but on average, everything else is junk food just tastes better than everything else. This is what it's designed to do. So you got to come with these people and you got to say, look, I understand. And not only do I understand,
I up on the natural candy though. Like what?
Yeah, it's basically saying like people should eat dark chocolate and
what dark chocolate like somehow better from like a naturopathic
He's a
standpoint?
hipster fucking retard. Yes.
Yeah. Like what?
No, and that was like part of the problem. Is like you have no idea what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
It just he thinks he's eating healthy. His caloric load is the same.
I mean, like
it's bougie. That's it. It's a status symbol. He just didn't know.
What about like the Haribo gummy, the cola gummies?
Jesus Christ. That's like third world shit. You don't even, what I'm saying? You can't get caught eating that shit. So in any case, what you have to do is basically come to their side and work the problem from their end. You have to sympathize. You have to say, I agree with you. Eating healthy sucks. And the good news is you don't even have to eat healthy fucking hardly any of the time. These taste like shit. Can you flash that to the screen, by the way? Welcome to Germany. They have these new dumbass protein crackers. James is about to try it for the first time.
Kixie.
Yeah, hit it. This is awful. Yeah. It just tastes like some combination of nothing and that.
Yeah, it's like an onion, like an old cracker.
Old onion cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, it's sour cream and onions is the
There's
flavor.
no sour cream in there. Or onions, really.
Oh, there's a lot of protein in there.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not as good as Quest chips, but it's fine.
There's a lot of protein.
Yeah, but it's 10 grams of fat.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what fiber is in German?
Fiber.
Wait, how can it have more fiber than carbohydrate? They just do this shit differently. That's right.
Your boy is different.
Ballaststoffe. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, so you got to be super. That crab out my
Get that crab out my cab.
Did you put that as the video or not?
Oh,
I set it up. Sorry, Daniel. This is a serious subject. You got to be super compassionate and come to people and say, "Look, I understand that this shit is not even shit anyone wants to do." And then you say, "Look, here's the deal. Just by eating healthy every now and again, you can start on some pretty cool habits, and anything helps. So, like one healthy meal a day is great. Folks start eating a healthy meal a day, then they can eventually start eating 2 healthy meals a day. Then eventually their unhealthy food starts to be snacks and just an occasional cheat meal. And all of a sudden they've lost, 7.5 kilos of body weight, and they're on the up and up. And then they got a lifestyle. And then maybe you can introduce them to training. Slow, marginal changes. Only ever offer compassionate suggestions. Remember, it's never a freak out time. Freaking out and yelling at people just decreases your probability of change. It doesn't increase it. So this whole idea that you're going to cry together and come to Jesus and yell at them, and they're going to be like, I know, you're right, I'm going to do something. Oh my God. That movie Hollywood bullshit. All you got to do is be a super nice person, be super compassionate, and just try to give them the option of, hey, look, if you want to know how to do this stuff, I can help. Maybe let's try eating this today or some shit like that. Right? Or have them watch a documentary with you and then have them bring it up how they feel about it, right? Super gentle, super compassionate, Gaia, Mother Earth type shit. And then at the same time, offer all the advice that they want and be there as a guiding light. Fundamentally, people have their own potential for making those decisions, and it has to come down on them. Right?
I'm glad you finished with that. So I was going to say, what you're feeling is like you don't want to feel guilt about them making bad decisions because you think you know better, which is fine. But at the same time, like if you're trying to imperialize your viewpoints onto them, that's just going to cause a lot of resentment and pushback, right? So ultimately, like you have to have the respect of them as your friends, family, and individuals to let them make their own decisions, right? And ultimately, like say, like I am not trying to force you to do something. I'm not trying to, tell you that you're wrong in all these ways. It has to come from them. They have to make an intrinsic change that say, I want to change for myself. And then you are there as a very, very good resource for them and someone who will advocate for them and help them make those changes.
In a positive representative of the healthy lifestyle. These people all think healthy lifestyle people are, hey, and now that we're in Germany, Nazis, right? They love it. So, no, but they don't honestly think like, oh, I'm a healthy fucking, you're a health Nazi. Like, they think that you're
I was like, where are we going with this one?
No, people think that like overweight, out of shape people are not in touch with fitness culture at all. Think all of us fitness people are just Nazis that live our life like a fucking totalitarian and never have any fun and never eat out and all that shit. And we're always concerned. You can show them the side of yourself that you're always super chill, you're super relaxed, you're getting in great shape, and it doesn't look like it's fucking hardly, costing you anything as far as emotional. We're gonna be like, man, Daniel is in great shape, and he doesn't seem like he's like constantly on his own ass, and they just represent the fitness lifestyle in the best way you can. Imagine if you were like a little kid in from a poorer part of town, and you were 8 years old, and your only interaction with a rich person was like this guy walked out of his fucking Cadillac and hit you in the foot with a cane to get you to move out of the way, and he's like, man, you're probably going to be a socialist and want to kill like rich people the rest of your life. But if the only interaction you've had with someone who is rich is even if they didn't give you anything, some rich guy walked out of his car when you were poor and he like tipped you on the hat and smiled and walked off, you'd be like, rich people are super cool, like at that much influence at that age. But it's just how you just perceive, how are these people acting? What are they doing? And if you act like you're having a grand old time in life and it's not costing you a lot, you're going to be a great representative for fitness and health. And when you get into organic, natural conversations, be super sympathetic, super, you're never trying to advance your ego of them. You're allowing them to be your resource. If they want their ego to advance into health and fitness, you're like a cornucopia that's going to help them with anything. Shut up, Mel. I like that word.
Cornucoage.
You know what
That's
it is,
Brazilian.
right?
Cornucopia?
Yeah.
Like, it's the thing with the fruits and shit
Yeah,
coming out of
the-
it. Yeah.
The big tube basket with all the
heaven tube / Thanksgiving tube. All right.
These crackers are like gross but addicting. Where you're like, this is nasty, but then you kind of want more.
I don't. All right. Ioseba Areola says,
Areola.
"Hi, docs. I think Dr. Mike is here in Europe."
Motherfucker.
Just
And
Mike.
James is dead.
Dr. Davis doesn't even exist.
Dr. Davis does not exist. What was it? Somebody saw a picture on Instagram and it was like, we were all tagged and some guy's like, is that Dr. Mike Israel? They're like, yes.
That's why he's tagged.
That's why he's tagged. That's why he's on his page.
Dude, there was a good one in the seminar too. It was totally innocent and it was just funny. They were like, oh yeah, like doctors James and Mike are here and da 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 da. And they're like, oh, and Melissa Davis. We're
No,
like,
that was Mike. You
was that
were
you?
like, Dr. James Hoffman is here, blah, 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 and also Melissa Davis. I was like,
Who's also a doctor.
Oh no, was it you? Maybe it was the other guy.
I thought it was somebody else.
Maybe
That
it
doesn't
was
sound like
the
some
other guy.
I'd say.
Yeah, no, I think it was the other guy.
I think it was somebody else.
Shit.
But I remember them being like, doctors James and Mike. Oh, and Melissa Davis. Mel and I were both like,
That's
also
the
doctors.
state of modern feminism here, folks. All right. I think Dr. Mike is here in Europe. I hope you're having a great time. I haven't posted in a while, and I have some questions lined up. Number one, I'm going to begin a 5-week mini cut after listening to several podcasts with Dr. Mike with Steve Hall and with Jan Fries.
We were hanging
You
out.
saw Jan?
Yeah.
Jan. We are all in love with Jan now.
He said he was gonna be watching.
Yeah, he's a
I know.
fucking creep. Probably watches everything. I understand that I should keep training volume around MEV in order to resensitize my body to future massing, with most of sets of 8 and not increasing sets from week to week. Thus, overload should be coming primarily from intensity. Let's say my 8RM is 100 kilograms for any given lift. I'm debating between option 1, keep set number constant and use 100 kilogram all the time, starting 4 from fail on week 1 and decreasing the RIR from week to week. Or B, keep set number constant, starting week with 80 kilogram 4 from fail and adding weight week to week, finishing with 100 kilogram. That's quite an aggressive increase. So remember, on mini cut, your increases should be non-aggressive in weight.
Yeah, you won't be
slow.
able to do
So
that.
I would start at 90 kilograms and go up to 100. But I would modulate. I think it's fine to do the just from fail stuff, but I would up the weight too. What do you think?
I agree. You want to scoot over a little bit? It sounds fine and good on paper until you realize that you're in a mini cut and your fatigue is going to catch up to you towards the end. So
Yeah.
your ability to make those big like 5 kilogram jumps week to week,
That's it.
especially I feel bad, but I don't know if this person's male or female based on the name. I'm going to assume female, but
Male.
is it male?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Male, maybe. Female, definitely not.
Yep.
But even male, that's going to be a stretch. So I think what Mike said is good. Start with 90, work up to 100. And if you want to increase like some of the reps that you get, like if you got 8 to 10 and you want to squeak out 11, a couple here or there,
Yep.
12 here or there, that's
Yep.
fine.
Is there any option that I've not even considered here? No, which is some DUs in our own mini cuts. I modulate weight and RIR. I use both.
Yeah. Which is basically what we said. So
Number 2, when performing hybrid in the morning, should I pause when I reach the safety pins or just perform touch and go reps? Either one is fine, but if you do touch and go, make sure it is a very slow, a gentle touch.
in my experience on the good mornings, the touch and go is kind of tough because even if you're really good and cognizant of your technique, you're bound to hit left or right first sooner or later. And when you try and touch and go, it just gets all,
Yeah, I do like the slightest little bit of a pause.
yeah, it's just like a barely
Settle and then come up.
both sides pause up.
Do you keep rest times between sets constant across your mouse cycle, or do you increase them from week to week? Each week would be increasingly harder, less RIR, so I don't think if rest time should remain the same. Man, I said, but that's a really, really good question, and I knew someone would eventually ask us this, because if you think long and hard about training enough, then you will inevitably realize that no one really ever talking about modulating rest times. A great ecological way to do it, which means just like real world effective, is just when you feel like going again, you go again. Because I'll tell you this, you can try to formalize your rest times, keep exact rest times, and then increase them or decrease them throughout the metacycle for particular effects. The problem is how you respond to any one set can change. And the purpose of the next set, like the reason we do sets at all, is to feel good enough to give another good overloading effort. if you're too dogmatic about sticking to exact times of rest, that can really violate that part of training, which is a big part of training. It's almost the same thing as saying, you know, instead of doing the RIR system, I'm going to go for exact reps. There's a reason RIR is better than exact reps, because, you know, sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier. RIR allows you some auto-regulation to still do a good job every set. So what I would say is that I would really kind of advise people to just ecologically approach the rest times. The rest time should be when you're no longer breathing super heavy and you're pretty ready to go, go again. Can you formalize your rest times? Yes. If you do, should you increase rest times week to week? That is an option. That is an option. It doesn't have to be that way, because your RIR increases, and it'll increase a whole lot more if you just keep your rest time constant. But you also get into better shape. You accommodate to the exercise, so you may need less rest. If you're cutting, your rest times can decrease throughout the mesocycle because you get in better shape, you lose fat, you're becoming more metabolically or just more slow twitch. So there's a lot of variables in there. And again, it comes down to, I think it's something that changes so much that just going when you're ready to go outside of metabolite training where we formalize rest times is my choice.
So then you beat me to it. I was going to say, really the only time that's even something that I would really think about rigidly is metabolite training. Outside of that, ad libitum basically rest is pretty good.
Yeah.
But metabolite, obviously, you're going for a specific effect. So.
Number 4, in writing programs for clients, do you prefer having a fixed accumulation to deload ratio, or do you adjust the length of the mesocycle according to the athlete's response to training? Let's say on week 1, I'm doing well and I don't feel overreached. How can I objectively evaluate if I should add 1 extra week or week? I guess they probably meant week 4. 1 extra week, or just take the deload. For the vast majority of my clients that I train, used to train when I train clients, would split into 2 groups. Individuals who I don't trust with their technique enough at their developmental level / with their estimation of fatigue to let them do an extra. Remember, having less fatigue is erring on the side of safety versus more fatigue. Okay, so that 1 extra week is going to help you, but if you fuck up that 1 extra week and take it when you're too fatigued, it could hurt you a lot worse than it helps you. So that kind of client, I would err on the side of fixed mesocycle, and if they really feel like they could keep pushing it, I wouldn't push them. The other kind of client I had are individuals, I used to train a lot of powerlifters and bodybuilders that had pre-planned contest schedules. Then you take your deloads when you have to, because you have to be cleared of fatigue for the next block to work properly. So even if you don't feel super fucked up, if they'll tell me, let's say it's a 4-week accumulation, 1-week deload. The way we modulate it for powerlifters, after week 3, they're like, dude, my fucking weights flew up this week, and I think I can do more weight on week 4 or more sets. Then we would make week 4 harder instead of taking a week 5. Because week 5 would throw off the whole schedule, because now all of a sudden my strength phase is 1 week too long, that means our PK phase is 1 week too short, all this other bad stuff. So those are the clients I usually have. The only individuals that I would ever suggest to take 1 extra week potentially, or 2 extra weeks or whatever, are individuals that I'm very close friends with, individuals that I'm more as a mentor / consultant, and individuals that are very high level. So Jared Feather sometimes will hit me up and be like, hey, so this mesocycle that you helped me kind of work out, I really feel like I could go an extra week. Should I do it? I talk to him about his feeling, ask him about how the weights are looking, see some videos, and then him and I make a decision together and be like, yeah, I think you got another week, or let's just do half a week and then take a little shorter of a deload, or let's just get it while it's good, stop, deload, and then get ready for another longer mesocycle next time. So that's been my experience, James.
Yeah, I think like people really look at those 2 things as kind of black and white, where they're like pre-planned strategies versus auto-regulated strategies, right? And there's nothing saying you can't use both in a smart, intelligent way, where you have a pretty good idea of how your body tends to respond to training because you've done hypertrophy, you've done strength before, you know how those typically go. But if you find yourself in a situation where you have to auto-regulate, whether you're too far on one side of the team management spectrum or on the other, that's fine. You can make a good judgment call, and that information that you get should always back into your pre-planned strategies, where you say, you know what, like something was different on this one. I'm going to reevaluate what I did and what the outcomes were. And I'm going to, for the next few mesocycles, or the next time I come back to this same fitness characteristic I'm training for, I'm going to keep that in mind. And then next time I know, you know what, maybe I can go 5 weeks when I switch to strength, or maybe I can do that extra week. And I'll plan that for next time. So you don't have to think of them as like black and white different, right? They circle and feed each other. The pre-planned strategies is basically the information that you feel confident and you feel good about, knowing the client or knowing yourself and what typical patterns you see, and then the auto-regulation you make on a needs basis.
Yep. And just something I think I just kind of hinted at, but I want to make it more formal. You could always rein everyone back, but only a select group of people get the option to push forward.
I almost never push. I don't think I've ever told anyone to do another week, at least in
because usually if they feel really good and it's not amazing, but I think I can do another one, you just deload them, and then the next mesocycle you get more aggressive.
Yeah, that's typically the way I do it. Because sometimes you get that false positive too, where like they feel good, and you go like, okay, cool, and then the next week they have one good lift, and then the second.
I've been through enough of those myself to like
shit yourself.
Know that when I'm feeling okay, it's time to end it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 5. In one of your webinars, I recalled you mentioned that you're not supposed to hit PRs the week before the deload.
I remember us having that talk. I don't know if I think there was more than that.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
That makes sense due to accumulation of fatigue. Let's say, for the sake of this example, one of the intermediate clients starts hitting PRs right before deloading. Would it mean insufficient overload has been provided? Maybe that's unexpected. Low fatigue has been induced, or just the athlete has gotten stronger. Ooh, so this, I remember the context this was in. The best context to understand this is for a very highly advanced lifter in competition prep for like powerlifting or weightlifting or something like that, hitting outlandishly big PRs. Some PRs are okay. All-time PRs, balls deep at the end of an accumulation block in like general strength. I think James might have said that, and what he meant by that was you hitting your biggest PRs when you taper for advanced athletes. Intermediates and beginners will hit PRs all the goddamn time. Yeah. Very advanced athletes, like you basically like if your best squat is 750 pounds for a set of 5, and you're doing, and that was last macro cycle, and you're doing 5s again this macro cycle, and you get to 5s and you hit 780 for 7, it's just very unlikely that that's going to happen. And you probably just the week before that really reduced your effort way more than you should have.
You've prematurely peaked.
Exactly. But what is okay is 755 for 5 or 760 for 6 or something like that. That's within the realm. It's just that when people, basically when you see advanced powerlifters posting mega PRs like a month out of their meet, it's like you're blowing your load when you shouldn't be.
Frustrated Strength Coach has a bunch of memes.
Oh my God, that's the exclusively what Frustrated Strength Coach.
Yeah.
The he actually one where it's like raw, and it's correlating with like weeks out from the meet, and then it's
overcooked.
Like 3 weeks out from the meet, like 103%.
Yeah.
Fail,
yeah.
and then it's like burnt.
Yeah. They post a bunch of sports science related stuff, but one of the common themes, and I want to say like 85% of the memes are like people blowing their load, doing like 1RM attempts when they're not supposed to.
So you should absolutely be hitting PRs, but if you're very advanced, especially, they should be small, conservative, and non-emotional PRs, which is something Chad Wesley Smith talks about a lot. It's just matter for you just did the RAR 1 and you managed to do 6 reps instead of 5. You managed to do 760 instead of 750. That's cool. But if you like start crying under the bar, pray to God, and you get 775 for 5, first of all, you could risk injury, and second of all, you know, when your fatigue comes up, what are you, 80 pounds stronger? That's nonsense. You're not going to make strength gains like that. So one person who you look into is Max Ada, Chad Wesley Smith. They do a lot of coaching for strength athletes. Their athletes in the gym, like Marissa Inda, will make small 2.5 kilo, 5 kilo PRs on her peak mesocycles and then hit like a 20 kilo total PR at the meet. Like that's what you're supposed to do. But people who hit mega PRs in the last week, it just begs the question of how come you weren't either you're way stronger than before, which is great, but unlikely, or you just fucked up you didn't accumulate enough fatigue to make yourself better enough to really have a good result at the meet coming up.
And usually when you're dealing with kind of beginners, intermediates, it's the latter in your question. Like they literally have just gotten stronger at that point. And that's good. And again, what we're not saying is that like when you see that, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But in the context of like strength sport, like powerlifting and weightlifting.
Yeah.
If they're in like their basic strength cycles and they're or approaching their maximal strength ones, and they're starting to hit some like really crazy stuff, that's when it's kind of like something here is going on, and that will not be sustainable. Like it looks good at the moment. You're like, man, this max strength phase is going so well. Just wait till we taper.
Sure.
Once you hit the peak, there's only one way to go.
So it's one of those things. So for example, here's how this works. People will they'll get to a week 3 out of a week 4 accumulation, and they'll be so focused on hitting PRs in week 4, mega PRs, that they will intentionally or otherwise go easier on week 3. Well, that violates the entire purpose of an accumulation and successive presentation of overloads. Overloading is not about like hitting it hard and then backing off for 2 weeks and hitting it hard unless you're super advanced. That's just how long it takes fatigue to go down. You're not supposed to hit mini phases of high preparedness in your mesocycle. You're supposed to wear yourself down with fatigue as you accumulate a lot of really good work. So basically, if someone's like, hey, so I got a big bench PR coming up in this next week, should I go easier this week? No, you should go hard this week, hardest next week, get a mini PR, but then once you bring the fatigue down, you've caused a lot more adaptations. So think about it this way. 2 really hard workouts, week 3 and week 4, are going to add a certain amount of actual strength to your abilities. But what if you take the first workout as really easy, and then you take the second one as really hard? Well, only one of those is really overloading. You only benefited from 1 overload session, not 2 overload sessions, because you wanted to be as good as humanly possible. That's not the point of an accumulation cycle. Something that Greg Knuckles and a couple of other folks have said is that the overload process, Daniel's drinking over here, the fact that you put more weight onto the bar is more a result of the fact that you're getting stronger, not why you're getting stronger. Now, I think the answer is really, the truth is it's both, but we can't ignore the fact that, like, look, the reason you've got 455 on the bar next week isn't because you had 450 on the bar this week. It's because you're getting stronger from having 450 on the bar this week that you need 455 next week. But if you reduce your weight this week to 360 just to put 470 on the bar next week, what you're showing off more than you're training. And that's where this comes down to. If you're super duper focused on hitting exact PRs in these particular weeks, you end up having this really undulating style of training where you're training really hard and then you're training really easy. And training, you're just trying to hit PRs as often as possible, which is different than the meat and potatoes work that's going to make you stronger in the long run.
You know, and I feel bad saying this, and I feel like I'm going to get some backlash, but Dmitry Klokov is one of those guys where he does like crazy stuff in training all the time, but you know, when he is actively competing, like he's all right, pretty good. I mean, he's all right. He's really good. But when you see him like doing his training videos,
you're like, he's going to beat everyone in the world.
He's going to beat everyone in the world. Like he can do like pause snatches at the knee with like 200. You're like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like,
yeah. All right, number 6. Which habits, daily or not, have helped you the most to reach your fitness goals?
Consistency,
having a routine,
perseverance.
Yep.
Hard to beat those two.
Yeah, just be more like a machine and you're good to go. So the habit is do more or less very similar things every day, Monday through Friday at least. Have a routine. Get your work done before you have fun. That's probably something my grandma told me when I was like 4. She clearly said it in Russian, but it's do your task and then enjoy yourself or relax, or the technical translation is walk, enjoy yourself bravely. So, you know, a lot of people put all kinds of entertainment stuff before the work is done. Get your fucking fitness shit done, eat your meals, and then have fun. If you do that consistently over years, you'll be the shit.
You know what my grandma told me?
Yeah. Oh, can I do the Bruce Wayne thing? Nothing. She died in the gutter without saying anything.
It was more lighthearted than that.
Oh.
She requested that I get that crap out her cab.
Yeah. We can't keep dropping this without a video, man.
I wish I could. I feel like if I could post it on there right now, but I feel like it might interrupt the live stream. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot. Greetings from Spain, and sorry for my English is still work in progress. You know, you should be
pretty good. Better than my German.
It's good that you're apologizing because you should be ashamed of yourself. Just kidding. Your English is actually amazing. Keep improving it because then eventually it's going to be awesome. It's really, really good already. Yeah, James's German is way better than mine. I'll tell you that. I know nothing in German. I know Eiweiß, which is a mispronunciation of protein.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Eiweiß.
Eiweiß. All right. Our Viking from the cold, bloody north,
Which is where we
Shirley
just came from.
Hallgrimsson. Yep. Shirley, we saw how you people live up there. It's brutal. All right. I'm just about to set up my Mesocycle 2 on the female training template. Is it a good idea to completely change all exercises in Meso 2? Or is it better to keep using the same exercises using Meso 1 and build up on those things? I would say
A little bit of both.
Change just the little small assistance ones like curls and stuff, but keeping the main ones like squats the same. And I think that's probably a better accommodation.
That's one, I don't want to call it a tough pill to swallow, but, previously the way I used to think about it was increasing the variation from mesocycle to mesocycle. And the last couple years, I have really found that keeping them
The same here.
the same ends up being better. And it kind of goes against what I thought initially,
I
but
think we were overvaluing variation.
yeah, and then undervaluing momentum,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's good to keep probably your main lifts the same, like Mike said,
Yep.
and then maybe pepper in some more fun assistance work.
All right, Alex Stilevsky says, "Hi, docs. Hope you're having fun on Euro Tour. What's up with the lack of stops to Macedonia? Nobody going to Macedonia.
I don't even know where Macedonia is.
First of all, second of all, I got a fucking functioning leg. I don't want to step on a motherfucking landmine. You
Where
feel me?
is it?
It's a fucking war-torn ex-Yugoslavia, dude. There's like landmine zones in Macedonia. Also, it's incredibly cheap and unbelievably beautiful, and probably has some of the best-looking people of all time.
Really?
Yeah, like half the world's models come from that fucking part of the world.
It's between Albania and Bulgaria.
Oh, okay.
Like castles and vampires and shit.
We almost made it to Bulgaria for this trip, but unfortunately didn't go. I honestly I freely admit geography is probably one of my worst skills where people are like, "Where's Nigeria?" I'm like,
Thailand? Like, it can't be in another country, James.
"Where's Saskatchewan?" Like,
Canada. It's all
Canada.
like Finland.
All of this is Canada.
Yep. I actually went to States in the geography bee in 8th grade.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, that's really
I won
good.
the whole school.
I'm terrible. I freely admit it.
Well, I
It's
know.
one of my
I know
worst
it
subjects.
enough to know Macedonia is not a place you want to go if you want to avoid a war-torn area.
Which is
I'm
weird.
totally kidding.
I have a good sense of direction. Like whenever we go somewhere, I'm generally pretty good with sense of direction, but sense of geography, I'm just terrible.
Yep. Mel's really good at both.
I'm really good at geography.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't have a good sense of direction
Damn, she's admitting some shit. That's a new Mel, the new leaf. It's turning over a new leaf. All right.
There's 3 things I'm not good at. That's it.
Wow. That is having an ego one of them? Damn, I'm getting a lot of texts. Stop texting me, Nick Shaw. We're at work. All right. I'm currently running this 2 meso cut going well so far. Plan to do a 3 to 4 week maintenance phase before cut 2, being that the maintenance will be in the heat of summer. Boom. Nice. Can I do a higher rep maintenance, meaning low sets, but keep the reps in the 8 to 12 range just to keep fullness when it's most needed? No, you're trying intentionally to reduce fullness, because the very same things that cause fullness are the things that cause the sort of adaptations to volume that we don't want. So no, drop the reps.
Like at that point, just do a strength phase. If you want to keep a little bit more of a little pump going, like just
Go heavier.
Go heavier.
Going high reps.
Yeah. Do the strength phase.
Number 2, I previously talked about low back pain I've had. I wanted to share what's been helping me. I listened to a handful of podcasts with Dr. Stuart McGill, the back mechanic, and just the info I picked up there has been super helpful. So if anyone has any low back issues, definitely check out the resources. On a
I've heard good things about that guy.
Oh, yeah. On a related note, I've been able to sumo deadlift and squat with less pain, and wanted to ask, with stiff-legged deadlifts or RDLs, would useful to not require to arch so far past neutral lumbar?
So I don't think the toe lift, here, let me start over. I don't think doing a toe lift will give you any advantage for that parameter outside of like just having good technique, right? Like keeping the bar close to your legs, not letting it come out in front of you. That's usually when people have a hard time maintaining like their pelvic integrity on that one. I don't advocate for doing a toe lift. Excuse me. For doing a toe lift, I usually say feet flat on the floor because you don't want to actively like pick your feet up while you're doing that because it's just less surface area, it's just not a good situation for lifting. Just like when we say like when people are squatting, even though they might have weightlifting shoes on, they're elevated here, we don't say like squat on your toes, like a sissy squat, same idea. But I think it's most of that is going to be technique. Sometimes, remember Coach Tim used to get really mad about toes up? He would get furious. But like if it's a cue that helps you to really put the emphasis on the posterior chain and maintain good positioning, that's fine so long as you are not actively like pulling up your feet off the ground. It's more of a mental
using a toe lift, I think, means like actually putting
it on the device.
So the thing is that using a toe lift is going to stretch your hamstrings, and it's going to cause more of a chance that your back will round because your pelvis is being pulled. Just if you have a problem overarching in the lumbar, don't overarch. Just don't do that. Set up a good block. Don't shoot your chest into the sky. Just keep your back flat and do a stiff like a deadlift. If it really helps you with the toe lift, yes, but watch that lower back position because it could get round.
I'm skeptical of people who claim they overarch. I've really never seen someone who can like truly hyperextend, especially to the point that would be detrimental.
I've never seen that either.
That's my humble.
Keep saying.
I'm not an expert in that, but I'm skeptical.
All right, Sebastian Hayes says, "Hey, documents. Oh, sorry, I meant docs. Same thing. Bad joke, I know. Have you seen Santa Claus yet in Finland?
We went to his.
We went to his crib, man. We served him up. We're hanging out with your homies in your crib.
Rovaniemi.
He was nowhere to be seen, old bitch.
we took a reindeer sleigh ride. We hung out with the Huskies.
That was just the reindeer sleigh ride was sad because the reindeer looked sad, and then the Huskies, I got in trouble for feeding them smoked reindeer jerky, which is an ideal food for Huskies. And the lady's like, you cannot feed the dogs, they have their own schedule. And I'm like, bitch, I got a fucking schedule. And then Mel came out of nowhere trying this dumb bitch for even talking shit to me. And then we stole a Husky, and we have a new Husky. If anyone buy a Husky, it barks a lot.
It barks a lot.
All right. Question number 1. Most of my protein, let's say 90%, I get from fat-free quark. Quarks, folks, are fat-free because they are, in fact, fundamental particles that aren't even on the atomic scale.
Wait, is that a typo? Or am I
it's not a typo. Quark's a thing. It's like yogurt, right?
It's like a cheese thing, right?
Is it cheese or yogurt?
I think it's yogurt.
Or yeah, like it's a dairy product.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I miss out on some potential gains because I don't vary the protein sources more? No, you might miss out on some micronutrients and stuff from various animal and plant sources. So I'd say vary a little bit more than 90%.
That's one of those like 2000s, late 90s bodybuilding things where they were like, you need to vary your protein source. I ate 3 meals with fish. I ate 2 with beef, 1 with chicken.
My prep coach put in beef and it really filled me out.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, no, he put in insulin, you dumbass.
Back in the day of like varying your protein source for maximum gain.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if he was like pushing it that hard, but I remember seeing a video of him saying that at one point. Yeah. I don't think so.
Vary a bit more than 90%, but I think you're probably pretty good. Number 2 question. What protein sources besides bars and powders do you use if it has to go fast and the food and you don't have time to prepare / cook? I can't use fat-free quark anymore because I think I get facial skin problems because I eat so much of it. Well, there's your answer.
Yeah.
I spoke with some people and they said they get good facial skin if they drop the dairy. Thank you.
That is the thing.
So, okay, what protein sources do you use?
Excessive dairy, there's a correlation with increased fat.
Okay, you can get a chicken salad, sandwich, or wrap damn near anywhere. Even if it's not on the menu specifically, you can ask, can I have a salad with chicken?
Well, what if he's preparing something super fast?
Well, I think he was saying if you have to go fast and you don't have time to cook or prepare, right? So I think he's saying like if you're on the go and you don't want to do a bar or a shake, what are some like good other options?
Dude, grocery store pre-baked, pre-cut chicken.
Yeah. Sliced deli meats.
Deli meat.
Deli meat's good.
Deli meats is really good.
Shakes are always good.
So normally
Puddings.
we come at this from the perspective of the United States, but now that we're so much more well cultured from all these travels, we know that this person. I'm just reading ahead. Greetings from Germany.
Mm-hmm. What's up, dog? We're in your motherfucking
We're in the hood right now.
We just bought some shrimp at the store.
We bought some shrimp, some
Hey,
salmon.
Sebastian, look out your fucking window right now, big homie. You see us? You see us? You don't see us because we're good.
But we'll throw you a bone.
Literally at your fucking window.
The Bavarian protein scene, not great.
Dog.
Not great. So he has it's a valid question, right? Where he's saying like, okay, Bavarian protein scenes maybe not great. What can I get? You can get chicken anywhere. Don't get the schnitzel. Although I've been eating a lot of schnitzel lately. Too much. Too viel schnitzel.
I don't know how these people stay lean.
Yeah. Chicken's good. Fish is good. You can get fish damn near anywhere. And you know what? At the very least, if they have beef, they have a protein product, whether it's fish, beef, chicken, whatever. Even if you go to fucking Macca's, right? Just say like, give me the chicken sandwich, take the shit out, eat the chicken breast, eat the vegetables.
Yep.
No mayonnaise,
Yep.
no sauce. Like, better than nothing. And granted, your protein situation in Bavaria is not great. So those would be good options. You know, best be prepared, I would say. Like, make sure you're prepared when you know those situations are going to arise and have something. But you can, we got shrimp, we got Greek yogurt, which maybe not, can't do that.
Yogurt's good, but well, no, too
You
much.
might be at the yogurt
That's dairy.
breaking
Stop eating so much pork, goddammit.
time.
All right, number 3. Oh, it says greetings from Germany and have fun with the travels and seminars.
Thank you so much. We've had a lot of fun.
Question.
Austria was sweet. Sorry to interrupt you.
I know. Where's
I really enjoyed Austria.
Question. What are your thoughts on Brad Schoenfeld's newest study about potential for fibrous type-specific differences in type 1 versus type 2 hypertrophy from varying repetition ranges? It wasn't a study. It was a review of the literature. The formal conclusion of the review was that it was rather inconclusive. I agree. The real big problem is that most of the research that has shown fiber-specific hypertrophy the most starkly has come from the laboratory, from just one laboratory in Russia. And that's not to say that's a bad thing. They are using a fiber typing technique which happens to be better than all the other labs are using. But whenever you see one piece of research just really coming from, or one conclusion really coming from just one place only, you know, gosh,
You gotta be a little skeptical.
you got to be just reserve judgment until
Especially
better
when it's
sources, especially when it's Russian. So, thanks, James. James just farted, everybody. So,
Papa gefetzt.
excellent.
Oh.
Smell.
You're upsetting
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
All right. So that being said, you know, when you think about it, fast twitch fibers are more sensitive to hypertrophy anyway. And the very process of hypertrophy seems to be intimately linked to high forces and mechanical disruption. So that slow twitch fiber specific hypertrophy is probably difficult to pull off. And even when you do higher reps and more of the hypertrophy than usual goes to the slow twitch, I think a ton will go to fast twitch anyway. So I think you'll never be able to do really is get only slow twitch hypertrophy or even mostly slow twitch, but you may be able to get less proportional fast twitch and more proportional slow twitch with fast twitch still being dominant. So something like sets of 5 or sets of 8 might give you 90% fast twitch hypertrophy, 10% slow twitch, whereas sets of 20 might give you 30% slow twitch, 70% fast twitch. That's just a hypothesis. Oh, is she smelling the fart? That's just a hypothesis, but I think that basing a whole lot of training on the different kinds of fiber types being hit up from different rep ranges for now is premature. Can you design a sort of part of your training in a very small sense around it? Yes. Should you still just go through and train normally and hit up everything like you would? Yes, I think that's still a good idea. So I wouldn't do like, oh, this is a particular fast twitch block and this is a slow twitch block. I think faster and slower is better nomenclature, and don't hope that that's a big deal. Still use all the main training principles and assume you're just quote unquote growing muscle. How much different muscle you grow, still up in the air, and it's probably never going to be a huge effect.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that kind of works itself out over time because you get a blend of both characteristics with good periodized training anyway. And then, like Mike said, once you have a better idea of maybe what composition that you predominate in, you might be able to make some minor tweaks that are very beneficial down the road. But acutely, it's like, whatever, almost doesn't matter at all. So I think, I agree with Mike. I think it's premature to have specific strategies outside of maybe favoring higher or lower spectrums of rep ranges slightly within the mesocycle.
Question: I would like to find out if I am more slow or fast twitch or a mix.
Have a muscle biopsy.
Yeah, I was involved in the following sports: soccer, table tennis, shooting. Currently involved in BJJ dancing and gym. Thank you. I have no idea how good you were at any of those sports. I have no idea how you actually performed and what strategy you used to perform. For be good at soccer by being a pace player. You could be good at soccer by being an explosive player who takes a lot of breaks. Table tennis is just very fiber rather irrelevant. Shooting is for sure irrelevant. Low drop jobs, depending on how you roll.
Shooting by itself, I agree, but there are some sports, like I'm guessing, I'm coming from the Euro perspective, where biathlon, right? Is really
you can be involved in it, and just like, so for example, you could actually be like relatively fast twitch dominant, just have a long training history and have really good genetics for central factors that give you good endurance, and you can be very good at a sport, but you can't be the best.
Not biathlon, but
you could still be decent at it.
Your point is well received.
Right, there you go. So like, we have no idea, but if you were like exceptional sprinter and jumper, you're probably more fast twitch, but in your lower body, who knows about your upper body? It really doesn't fucking matter, man. Training the rep ranges that give you the best pumps, the most soreness, and the most disruption, and the best gains, and you'll find your way.
I mean, even if we want, what Mike said is 100%, no way we can tell just with this information. But if we wanted to like play hypotheticals and maybe look deeper into it, then we probably should. Soccer, table tennis, shooting, BJJ, dancing, gym. That sounds like you're a mixed bag to do.
For sure. If you were good at those sports,
yeah.
Marcia Balai. I still don't want to say that.
No,
I think
Bellagio.
it's Balai. Hi, docs.
You got some gabagool over there?
Fucking fuck. I know that your current take on beta-alanine is that the lactic acid buffering and endurance benefits might have a negative metabolite effects and force you to do more volume, because it could enable you to get a couple more reps at each set and could generate more fatigue at a certain effect. Yep. I see the rationale of not using a metabolite phase, but what about more traditional hypertrophy phase of about 8 to 10 reps where you don't focus as much on metabolites and actually try to increase muscle volume or increase volume? Yeah, it's fine. I think it's fine to use on that. Remember, you got to use it for months for it to have a really good effect. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be I don't know if it's worth your time.
I like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like my skin is like on fire.
It's just not good. It's not a good feeling.
Feels like there's like a march of the fire ants, which is a Mastodon song, on my skin.
Oh my god, stupid metal suckers. All right, 2 more questions. Question number 1: now that you guys are on the road so often, how do you adapt your training to different gyms and different equipment? Well, first of all, everywhere has barbells, so that's really easy. If you just base your shit around barbells and dumbbells, you can't really lose. For example, if you're using a certain machine like a leg press in a certain gym where you train on the road, and leg presses are different angles, sled weights, etc. The press has a different stack, or maybe there isn't a leg press at all. How do you adapt your training in such situations to ensure consistency and progressive overload? I adapt it using RIR and relatively the same set number. So for example, if I have no idea what the thing of the stack is, the weight's totally off, and I know I did like a sets of around 15 reps from fail last week on a different machine, I'll warm up and find a weight that I think is going to get me in that similar rep range and similar reps in reserve. I do the same number of sets, problem solved.
100%. I think what Mike said too earlier was really good too. I mean, if your program is based in barbells and dumbbells, the accessory work is kind of a freebie at that point. So if you're doing dumbbell bench press, find the dumbbells, do your normal thing. If you're doing squats, find the barbells, do your squats, and then whatever they have at that point, it's actually kind of fun because then you can kind of, like, we went to Das Gym, Intelligent Strength in Austria, it's like the fucking mecca of strength and bodybuilding.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So it's like when we went, I did my base lifts that I had to get done, which was a bonus because they had a cambered bar. I did actually, a cambered bar was my movement of choice for push, so I got my cambered bar in, and they had a bunch of cool chest machines and they had everything. So get your main stuff in, have some fun, keep a relatively high RIR, I'd say probably about 2. And then if your lifting is more sporadic while you're traveling, you can kind of push up towards your MRV a little harder than normal, especially if you're going to have 1 or 2 days off here or there. and enjoy it. The thing with travel is like, so like, this is where I think people get fucked up, where they'll be like, I need to squat with a Texas power bar, right?
If you need that, don't travel.
Just don't travel, or do something at that point. Change your program. Just do a hypertrophy phase, or like easy going.
Charlie, my roommate and your friend, not my friend. He's a competitive powerlifter at the very highest levels, 800-pound squatter. When he needs a specific bar, he either makes sure that the gym he's going to be at has that bar when he's traveling, or 9 times out of 10, he doesn't travel 3 months out of a powerlifting meet. But if you're the kind of person that travels, a lot, then you just use whatever you have, and fucking regular barbell is a good thing.
Anytime fucking fitness. I have used that stupid pass all over the United States, but also all over the world. It's amazing. It's a little bit more expensive than if you got a traditional Globo Gym membership, which is usually $20 to $30 a month. I think it's like $50 a month. But I can tell you that given how much we travel, it usually pays for itself in drop-in fees. Because you usually pay anywhere between $20 and $40 for a day pass.
Yeah, 15 to 20 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, some places are worse than others. Chicago, for example. Mel and I found an Anytime Fitness in like buttfuck Wisconsin.
Yeah.
When my cousin was getting married, we did them in Australia,
New
Zealand, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Goddamn, everywhere. London.
Yep. California.
And they're open 24 hours.
They're
So
open
when you're jet lagged as fuck,
24/7.
you can go
God
and
damn
work
it! You beat me to it. When you're jet lagged as fuck and you wake up at 3 a.m. because you're still on like New York or California time, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Guess what? You got that stupid dongle. You just go right in and you can go lift and get on with your day. It's amazing. And then when you come back to the U.S. after being in Australia for 2 weeks, and you're fucked up.
Yeah, you still go.
You still go. It's amazing. And you know what? What do they have there? They have barbells. They usually have one good squat rack, a Smith machine, some decent dumbbells, and cable station. What more do you need at that point? At that point, you're just being a fucking diva. Right?
Totally.
Oh, and like I had a good conversation with Jan. It was brief. When we were at Das Gym, he had brought all his stuff. Like he had his belt, his good belt, not just like the Schmegma belt, right? He had his lifters. He was like ready to for fucking business. And he saw me and all I had were some like Nike Metcons on. And I was squatting. He was like, bro. And I was like, you know what? I have gotten to the point where packing my weightlifting shoes during travel just sucks so much dick, because you have this like big heavy thing that you're going to use once or twice. And it takes up so much space and weight, and like, I don't know, I just couldn't justify it. So I have stopped bringing those when I travel. I usually bring a pair of shoes that I can lift and or walk around in, and then maybe a specialty shoe that I specifically need, like a boot for hiking or whatever. That's it. Das Gym, actually, did you see the squat wedges? I had the squat wedge there. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Not every gym has that, but that was really cool. So you can plan ahead when you travel. You know where you're going to stay once you get your reservation done. You can Google search that area for gyms. And then look at the pictures, send them an email, plan ahead.
Yep. And don't sweat the small stuff. Train hard, do the same basic movements, adjust RAR and set numbers and reps, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Next question. Would a low volume resensitization phase with the maintenance calories be advised between high carb mass phases? Would eating at maintenance calories not resensitize you? It would not resensitize you, no. So would it be better to mini cut between the maintenance and the second mass? Yes, you probably look up the mini cut article. You don't need to do maintenance if you do a mini cut most times. So mass, mini cut, mass again.
So you could make an argument where you say like, oh yeah, that's from a metabolic standpoint, not the best choice. But then you go, okay, then why are you massing in the next anyway?
For sure.
Right. So it's like, you might as well mini cut it for either option. It's like,
for sure,
mini cut.
All right. Jake Kale says, hey guys, thanks for answering my questions last week. I've got a question about volume. I hope the question makes sense. Is the volume model linear and only capped off by fatigue rising even faster? In other words, if somehow we generated no fatigue at all, would more always be better? Or is it more of a bell curve when doing too much would be detrimental regardless of fatigue accumulation? No, the more would be better. I mean, if you literally didn't accumulate any fatigue, what you're doing is giving your cells signal for growth with volume and fatigue. If your cells magically recovered a second after you trained, any rep a second after the rep you recovered completely, then at some point you would never reach a bell curve. You would reach a top end to where your cellular growth processes would be maxed out.
You'd reach your genetic potential.
Yeah, so like it's not a bell curve, it would be an asymptote.
So imagine if you were Wolverine.
Yeah. You would just reach asymptote. Like after
You'd-
40 sets a week or something per body part, you wouldn't grow any more from 45 because you literally be growing as fast as you could.
Yeah.
But you would never go back down.
It's an interesting discussion, but it's also kind of, not to dismiss it, but it's kind of pointless because fatigue is real.
For sure, totally. Yeah. Is it more like the bell curve model? Then how does fatigue alter the curve? So it's not a bell curve model.
Yeah.
Mike has mentioned that skim milk is very insulinogenic. Yes. I believe it's called insulinergic. It doesn't actually generate insulin. It causes secretion. But I'm being a pedantic asshole at this point. Does that affect the absorption rate of casein protein? Or is milk still a good bedtime protein source? So casein protein leaches independently of insulin. So what ends up happening is it doesn't affect the absorption rate at all because the insulin would love to drag the casein in really fast from the blood, but there's none of it in the blood yet because it is in the fucking stomach and in the intestines. So no, it doesn't affect it. So it's still a great bedtime source.
Yeah. So good.
Next question. Hey, Mike, not James. Minicuts, thoughts?
Son of a bitch.
Just kidding. James is cool. Hope you forgive my trolling and answer my actual questions. That's all. Thanks in advance.
No.
And then more questions. Just watch the overload lecture, and I'm wondering if around 5 RAR is sort of a minimum for overload. Not a minimum, but a recommended minimum. Yes. It's not a technical minimum, but anything below that, you got some problems.
Yeah, I don't think this has been formally studied in terms of. I know there's.
And it's a sliding scale.
Yeah,
6 RAR training isn't a waste. It's just probably not worth your time.
Yeah. It's not something that we can say as like, here's a study that says the number is 5 reps in reserve.
Yeah.
People just haven't done that type of analysis yet.
Yeah.
5 reps in reserve is an estimate based on relative intensities and RIR correlates that we have found over time.
Yeah. So would the last few reps be jug volume? So what would be the difference of doing something like 15 RM for 10 versus 6 RM for 1? Well, so it's different intensities. You'd accumulate a lot more fatigue with 6 RM for 1. Volume is still king. But based on that, you might want to read up. Go read up and ask us some more questions after read up on something called myoreps, MYOREPS. Go read up on myoreps. It'll really give you a lot of information to think about, and then ask us some questions about myoreps because I think you'll learn a ton, and then you'll be able to ask better questions if there's still some confusion as to what's going on. And then it says number 2. My squat volume is almost always limited by my adductors. My quads can take a beating, but my adductors not so much. Even in close stance, feet forward. In what situations would you recommend doing something like leg press or something before squats to pre-exhaust the quads versus doing the squats heavy and then finishing the quads with something else? Would a history of back injuries affect a recommendation? Yes. So only if with your adductors, I think you should still squat as heavy as you can and do all that stuff as heavy as you can because you don't need your adductors for anything other than leg work later in the week. And then you do leg presses after or leg extensions after. So you can still get your heavy squats in. The reason we would do lighter squats and heavier leg presses and extensions before is to limit your, what's that called? Fucking Jesus Christ, I'm blanking. Axial loading, right? That's the limit loading on your back. And if you do have a history of back injuries, then yes, easing up on the back is probably a good idea. And then that is a good idea. But with adductors, I think you should squat heavy first, as a fart, and then do leg presses or leg extensions afterwards.
Yeah, and in my experience, when the adductors flare up, you kind of want to like deal with it quickly.
Yeah, adductors you don't want to hurt your adductors. They're really big muscles. And
they tend to be like, they give you one freebie. You get one pass, right? And then after that, it's like really bad news. So once you get that warning, deal with it.
Yeah. Leonard Morrison says, hey guys, in the hypertrophy training block, do maintenance volume figures increase microcycle to microcycle for the body parts? I'm de-emphasizing that meso. Meaning if I have triceps and hamstrings and the back burner, Meso, can I just train 4 sets each per week for all 5 weeks of the meso without losing muscle? Or does the maintenance volume and thus required number of sets for each exercise also increase week to week? I don't think it increases. I think if you increase the weight by a little bit, maybe just 2.5 kilos or 5 pounds every week, that more than adjusts for their adaptation to that exercise, and you're good to go. So don't increase sets, increase the weight a little bit, and I think you're golden.
And that's essentially how tapering works.
And that's essentially how we have the Male Physique Templates program.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to worry because the maintaining not only the basic volume, but maintaining a high intensity of exercise prevents that muscle from deconditioning.
Hey docs, I recently started a job doing security at a concert venue. Cool, beat
That's
up
cool.
small teenagers. It's fun. If there's a concert, try to face kick as many people as you can. I'm standing, walking around, and I'm moving things and people 100% of the time during this job. And I work 30 hours a week. To what degree should I increase my caloric intake when massing in order to ensure I'm still enough in surplus? Prior to this job, I was pretty sedentary other than lifting 6 days a week and did very little cardio. Well, you're always kind of on a cut cycle mega cardio now.
Yeah.
So our answer is track your body weight and see how much food it takes for you to just maintain it. And then from there, add in 500 calories or whatever for your surplus.
Yeah, and I was going to say, there's no blanket number that we can give you. You got to do what Mike said and track your calories. And I think what we're both thinking is like it might be a lot. It might be like surprising.
It's at least 500.
Yeah, at least 500.
Maybe 1,500. So start at 500 and see how it works.
Especially like
right now.
I know I've been to my share of concerts, and I know the guys have to catch like the crowd surfers and all that crazy stuff, and get drunk people out and hunt down people who have cameras and they're not supposed to be. You know, like they're hustling that whole night. So I'm sure it's a lot. But the only way to know that is by tracking your body weight.
Moira Snover.
Schnova.
People actually name Moira?
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird.
You have a weird name in movies. You have a weird name. All right. Do you have an opinion about shirataki noodles while following the RP diet? Yes. Treat them as either. What do you say, Mel?
I said farts.
Yeah, they fart you. Treat them as vegetables and stick within the amount, like handfuls of vegetables. You can mix them in with your veggies. Do not eat them as freebies because they will add up and you'll still be preventing weight loss.
What if I told you that nothing you put in your mouth is a freebie?
Except for maybe Diet Coke.
Some of the shirataki noodles have 0 calories. They're 100% fiber.
Some kinds of fiber can be digested by the human body, especially by some people with some kind of bacteria.
Yeah, but if it's 0 calories, it's going to be so minimal that it's within the noise.
Yeah.
But
don't eat them every second that you're awake.
Over fiber yourself too.
So are accountable for everything that goes in your mouth, food or otherwise.
Just food.
Keep that in mind.
Otherwise, it's fine, calorie free.
No, everything that goes in there. You are responsible.
No. Stick it, pretend it's a veggie, and it'll be the best advice we ever give you on that topic.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in a little bit more, JMO?
Yes.
You know you can just do this to all your screens.
My screen's cracked, yeah.
Joshua Rhodes. Greetings, gurus of the gains.
I prefer Broden.
Nice. I'm trying to find a move to replace high bar squats for the sake of variance. My university gym does not have a hack squat machine, and I really only train there for a couple of accessory movements once per week, so the rest of my sessions revolve around barbell and dumbbell work in my home gym. What are your thoughts on barbell hack squats?
No.
Since there's not a hack squat, but it's stupid partial range of motion exercise that's limited by your grip and the size of your ass. Don't do it. Or would it be better off doing another squat variation besides regular high bar? Yes. Here are some options. Slow eccentric high bar, paused high bar, slow eccentric paused high bar, feet forward, close stance high bar. There's 3 variations right there. 4.
Hey guys.
And if you want to break the high bar cycle, you can do medium stance sumo, you can do front squat,
you
can do all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
Macedonia is safer than Germany to visit according to the U.S. government.
Wow.
Unless you have children, because there's a child abduction problem.
Macedonia is apparently very safe, except for children.
Well, I'm not really a child, although and being abducted could be fun because you know what I'm saying?
Unless you're sold as a sex slave.
That'd be hot. All right. Katina.
Hold on.
Oh.
Before someone get. Oh, never mind.
Yep. Katina Desjardins. Hey, Docs. This week I have a question regarding grip strength and strategies for overcoming weaknesses in that area.
Straps.
I have been struggling to accumulate enough fatigue in my lats during pull downs, rows, etc. due to my grip strength. Fatigue before anything else. I deadlift regularly. I do pull-ups alternating between neutral, pronation, and supination. And I've been doing so for a few years now. However, I find that my grip strength consistently holds me back. When I encounter this problem on deadlifts, like a high rep metabolite cycle, I will just use straps, and I find that I'm fatiguing too quickly. In the case of pull-ups or lat pull-downs, I feel like it would alter the kinetic chain of the movement too much to implement straps. Is that true? No.
Oh, wow.
No.
I'd rather not
I used to
have
do
to
it all the
resort to
time.
straps and just get to the root of the problem.
No.
You should be getting at the root of the problem while using straps, and then you can stop using them when you fix the problem.
But so like you're assuming that the grip strength is a problem, right? The grip strength is a problem if you are a strong man or strong woman competitor, if you're an arm wrestler, if you're a power lifter and you can't do your sports skills, right? If you're just training to look good naked or potentiate further gains and other things, their grip is almost never a limiting factor to performance because you can use straps.
Yeah. Johnny Jackson, who has deadlifted with no straps, 804 pounds in competition, uses straps for all of his back workouts. So he doesn't have a grip problem. Clearly, he fucking pulls 800 with no straps. But he still uses straps in his back workouts because his back's so goddamn big and he uses so many reps. Use your straps, use chalk, but keep training without straps on the lighter sets where you can, and your grip will improve and potentially do some grip work as well.
So she's asking, right, if there's any strategies about building strength in the grip so she can hit.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of strategies for grip strength, but that comes at a cost, right? Now you're taking time away from like the bulk of your training to look good naked, right? Doing your high volume hypertrophy stuff. Grip training is fine and good. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, we're not saying it's stupid either, but it's a misallocation of resources for most physique athletes. Is I think a fair statement.
For sure. And I train my grip, but you can just, and also grip training will make your forearms bigger, which looks cool. So I would say you can do some, I've eventually posted an article. I'm learning more about grip training nowadays. Doing various rolls with like a barbell. So you basically like hold a barbell out, like you'd be holding it like this right down. You let it get to the tips of your fingers, and you roll it and hold for a second here and roll back. You can do that with a dumbbell on a bench or something like that. There's a bunch of grip movements. Do them, but do them after your back training sessions of the week instead of before, because it'll fuck you up.
You know what you can get to? You know what? It's like a tough pill to swallow. The straps that have the hook.
Yeah.
That's like it's so funny because like part of your brain is like, that's cheating, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, that, what are you doing? But then the other part of your brain's like, is it really though?
Yeah, they use them in strongman.
Yeah, why not?
Thanks in advance for any insight. Been really enjoying watching y'all journey around Europe, living vicariously through your adventures. Well, we're not having any fun, so you can stop living vicariously through them.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Wow, that was the last one.
We did it. You want to see if anyone chimed in on the live stream?
That would be curious indeed. Hey, there's
We have
two
two viewers.
I think that's us and Mel.
No, Mel doesn't have a password.
We always have one viewer, it's Daniel Dollar.
I bet you it's fucking Jan.
I wonder.
Yeah, he's in the right time zone.
Well, I can't tell who's viewing, but nobody's posted any.
Nobody said a damn thing.
So sneaky.
All right.
All right. We done?
Yep.
Calling it?
Yep.
All right, folks. We will be back in the United States as of April 16th. We are on our way to Dublin, which is gonna be pretty awesome. Mel and I were in Dublin in January on our way back from a jiu-jitsu thing, and it was really fun. So we're looking forward to coming back and spending some time with you guys out there. And then we'll be back in the U.S. Hopefully we can get back on our normal webinar schedule as soon as possible and get all your questions answered.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. What it is.
What it is. All right, guys. Otherwise, look up Kroll Show, Kroll, Fabrice, or Kroll
Crab
Show, Crab Cab, or Kroll Show European Guide. Tell us what you think.
Get that crap out of my cab.
Crab Cab.
All right. We'll see you guys.
See you guys.